Hello, and welcome to this episode of Ask a Retro Gamer here on Retro Game Living Room. Today's question comes from Susan, who asks us what our video setups are. So Zach, how do you play retro games? How do you hook your systems up? What do you use? What are your recommendations?
First recommendation would be to get first-party cords if you can. Those are always going to be better. I mean, it's nice that we do have such a large market of third-party cords if you need them, but they're really not the best option. But don't be scared. I mean, if it's all you have, it's not a big deal. I think the most important thing to improve your video quality is to get a CRT TV if you are serious. If you don't have the space, I really wouldn't stress about it too much. If you're just a casual, retro gamer, then I could honestly recommend a clone system. You could get like a 3-in-1 system. You could get the Retron 5, which could play up to 10 different consoles.
Okay. So let's unpack some of that. So one thing is a CRT. So we're talking about a CRT. That's a cathode ray tube. That's your big box television that looks exactly like this right here. I use a Sony Trinitron, a 36-inch Sony Trinitron. Those are pretty top of the line, but any 90s TV is going to have a good picture because you got to remember these old systems were made for CRTs. You can upgrade that to what's called a PVM. That's a high definition professional quality CRT. Those can be a couple $100, where a regular CRT is going to run you a lot of times you can find free in Craigslist.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just be driving down during large trash pickup day, find CRTs on the curb, yard sales, thrift stores. You can find CRTs everywhere. So that's one option. Now another option, if you want to play your games in HD, Zach, you were talking about something else. You were talking about clone systems.
So clone systems are a third party that is a modern company that's been able to make a system that's able to emulate the hardware. So it's not going to be the real thing, but it does play the real cartridges.
You can find these at lots of game stores, and they'll look like a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo, or they might be an NES and a Super Nintendo in one, and they'll have HD hookups to your modern TV. But there are ways to hook up your consoles to a modern TV. A lot of TVs have coax inputs, which old retro consoles will go out through coax and input into your coax, or they still have your standard Composite, yeah. So I always sometimes slip and say component. Thanks for reminding me.
Component and composite, but yeah.
A lot of times they have your standard composite. So a lot of newer TVs will run your old games natively, but although they might not look the best stretched out on HD, they can still run, which is why we recommend using CRTs as they were meant for. But not all HD TVs do, so you might need to get an upscaler. What are some popular upscalers on the market right now? We have Framemeister's one.
Yeah, that's like the big one. They're really expensive, but there's the OSSC.
OSSC, yeah.
And then there's a new one though called the Retro Tink. So I don't own any of this stuff. It's a little bit out of my price range. So one thing I was going to mention that all this stuff is varying budgets, and that's why there's so many different options. CRTs.
Yeah. So Zach, how much are those upscalers going to run you?
About $200 to $300.
Yeah, so that's for a video file, and you can add scan lines to them. You can get really in depth with programming your upscaler, and you have to be able to be willing to tinker with it to go that route. So we've covered get a CRT, have good cables, get the best video output that your console can offer. So for example, Dreamcast can be in RF, it can be in AV. But it can also be in VGA. So if you have the ability to use it in VGA, a lot of TVs have that, use it in VGA. Some people even mod their consoles to get HDMI outputs. So now we've added modding as an option there. So there's a lot of options, and Google the one that's right for you, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of information on the internet. We're not the only ones with videos on YouTube even.
And come to Reddit. And come to r/retro gaming, ask all your questions. You'll be welcome with open arms. See you next time.